Hi guys, it's Kayla here. I am about to go to Barnes & Noble to do some book shopping because I haven't been there in forever and it's been so long since I've bought books. Like, it's just been way too long. So I'm so excited. It takes it takes me 45 minutes to get there. I'm a slow driver. But it is far. It's far from my house. It's not, and you know what? There's not even like bookstores around me. Like, no, but it's okay. I don't mind. I can listen to my podcast or my music or something. And yeah, so I'm taking you guys with me so that you can come along to the bookstore because everybody likes going to the bookstore. At least everybody who's probably watching this. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. So I got a lot of stuff from Barnes & Noble. I got 2 bags worth of stuff. I'm not ashamed. Alright guys, so first up is this really cute journal. I saw this on the shelf, obviously. It's super cute. And it looks like it has a bunch of books on a bookshelf. And I don't think they are books though, because it's like, well, they might be, but it's all about girls and women, which is really cool. So it's like A Girl of High Adventure by L.T. Mead, and A Courageous Girl by Bessie Marchant. The Girl Who Lost Things by L. Tiak. A Courageous Girl, A Story of Uruguay. A Ripping Girl by May Baldwin. So just like, it's all about girls, which is really cool. But I love it because it looks like a bookshelf. And what I've been wanting is to buy, to get a journal, notebook, whatever, to write down all of the books that I have read. I've done this since I was 12. Once I I've always loved reading, but like when I was 12 is when I really found out I loved books. Like, oh my God, where I was obsessed, like obsessed. So I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to track how many books I read. So I got some like weird journal that I had, and I started keeping track of all of just the title and the author. That's it. And over the years, I've kind of moved them in different notebooks. Recently, like the last few years, I was like, oh, I'll stop doing that, and I'm just gonna put them on Goodreads, which is good. It's like a good way to keep track of it, whatever. But I don't really trust Goodreads 100%. Like, I love Goodreads, but there have been a few times where, like, I know I put on Goodreads that I read this book, and it doesn't show up on my read bookshelf, like on the bookshelf that says read, like the books you've read. It didn't show up, and I'm like, what? And I only found this out because of the challenge. Like you basically set a goal for yourself of how many books you want to read that year, and then every time you log on the website that you've read a book, they'll log it. And I kept putting books on there, and it wasn't showing that I made any progress. And I was like, what? So I don't know, it was weird. So sometimes they show up for the most part, but there have been a few times where they didn't. And I don't know if this is user error or if this was just a weird thing. I don't know. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to the old way I used to do things, and I'll keep track of them in my book. But I wanted like a book themed notebook or whatever. So I found this, and I love it. It looks like bookshelves or whatever, and I'm just gonna put like the title, the author. I don't think I'm gonna make it all fancy as terms of like if I liked it, if I didn't like it, reviews, any of that stuff. I'll just go ahead and keep that on Goodreads, just because it's easier that way. But isn't this so cute? Look at it. Oh, I love it. And it was only $6.98. Not bad. So yeah, so that is the first one. And I knew I was going to try and look in the journals, because every time I go to Barnes & Noble, I always go to their journal section. They always have the cutest stuff, and I want to buy all the journals. I just love journals. Who doesn't? I personally don't really journal, but this is just perfect. And it's like, look at that. It's like textured and beveled, or I don't know what the right word is for that, but look how pretty. Ooh, I love it. Okay, so that's number one. Oh God. Okay, now, next. I think this is the first book I picked up there. It's called Unchained Blood Bond Saga 1 by Helen Hart. It's pretty. Look at that. It's a romance. I've never heard of this book. It looked pretty on the outside, so I was like, let me see what this is about, and I'll read you the back. Dante Gabriel is starving. What he craves is red gold human blood. So it's a vampire story. I like vampire stories. I'm not like a crazy paranormal reader. I loved the Twilight books, and I'm gonna stick by them. I love the Twilight books, and I will still read them. Like, they were beautiful. The movies weren't the best. I'll still watch them though. But yeah, so I mean, a good vampire book is good. I also loved the True Blood series. Like, I didn't read the books. Well, I read one book, but so I mean, I like a good vampire story. So this one seemed cool. So let me read it. Sorry. After being held captive as a blood slave to a female vampire for years, he has finally escaped. Unchained at last, he follows his nose to the nearest blood bank to sate his hunger. ER nurse Erin Hamilton expects just another busy night shift until she finds a gorgeous stranger vandalizing the hospital blood bank. Though her logic tells her to turn him in, she's pulled by stronger and unfamiliar emotions to protect the man who seems oddly infatuated with her scent. Chemistry sizzles between them, but Dante, plagued by nightmares of his time in captivity, fears he won't be able to control himself, especially when he discovers a secret she doesn't even know she's hiding. So I was like, ooh, you know, I mean, it looks like it could be good. I don't know. It just looks like a good romance. I love romance. Like, that's one of my favorite things to read. So I saw this and I was like, this might be good. I hope it's good. I hope it's not crap. I tend to be I'm very discerning with books that I like. It's weird. I don't know. But I want to try it and read it, and it sounds really good. So that's that one. That's the real, like, first book I picked up. First book I went in the store is the romance section because I love romance, and it's been a while. So this book, Gray, by E.L. James, it's been out for a while. I don't even know when it was published. 2015, I think, is when it was first published. This isn't a part of the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy, but it kind of is. Like, it's the first book, which is 50 Shades of Grey, told by Christian Grey. So I read the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy pretty much when it first came out. I didn't know what it was about. I remember my sister called me and she was like, have you heard about this book that's like, she said it was about vampires, and I think that was shortly after me and her were kind of crazy about Twilight. And she had said that, like, it's kind of, no one really knows what it's about, but like it's kind of controversial, and I'm like, ooh, right up my alley. So I went to Barnes & Noble and I picked it up, and I really went into it thinking it was about vampires, like a vampire story. And I was just blown away when it turned out to be about BDSM. I read them and I loved them. I thought it was a great story. Yes, the writing wasn't the best, you know, and there was definitely some cheesy parts, but overall, I thought the story was really good. It was real juicy. It was real saucy and very sexy and steamy. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people have problems with that series and stuff like that, and I also the movies are good too. I haven't seen the last movie. I've seen the first two, but I didn't see the last one. But the reason why, and see, I knew this has been out for a while, but the reason why I didn't buy it when it first came out, I'm not sure. Maybe I wasn't in the mood, but I was reading the back of it and kind of remembering the first time I read 50 Shades of Grey, and I am intrigued. So I wanted to get it, I want to read it, and a lot of this is because of when I read Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. So she never, to my knowledge, I don't think she got that published, or she didn't at the time, but like I was obsessed with the Twilight books. I thought they were just wonderful and gorgeous. And then I had heard that she was writing like Twilight from Edward's point of view, and I was like, what? So I tracked it down, and it was like I read it online. It was an unfinished manuscript or whatever. And I loved it. I don't know, there was just something about reading a story from one point of view and then all of a sudden getting that same story from a different point of view. Like, oh, it answered so many questions. It was just so, I loved it. Like, I loved it. And so I'm like, I mean, I didn't love 50 Shades of Grey the same way I loved Twilight. Not nearly. I feel like such a dork saying I love Twilight, but I do, and I did, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. I think it's still a very beautiful book. It's cute. It's cute. It's great. It's wonderful. It's different. I'll do a whole other video about Twilight and my feelings on Twilight, because I could just talk forever about Twilight. Anyways, so that's kind of why I was like, maybe I'll like this. It's been a long time since I read 50 Shades of Grey, and as a book, like writing wise, and you know, it's not the greatest. There was some, it wasn't the greatest writing, but the book, the story was great. It was wonderful. I loved it. And so I'm like, well, maybe, you know, she's gotten way more practice, and I'm curious to see how he experienced what I read from Anastasia's point of view. Now we get Christian's point of view. So I'm like, So there's this one out, and there's another one called Darker by E.L. James, and it is, I think it's covering the second of the 50 Shades of Grey story, which is 50 Shades Darker. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, maybe that's what she's doing. So you have 50 Shades of Grey, which is number 1, and then you have Grey, which goes with number 1. So 50 Shades of Grey and then Grey. Then you have 50 Shades Freed, which is, no, 50 Shades Darker, which is 2, and then the second one of these is Darker. So let me guess, the third one's gonna be Freed, because the third one of the 50 Shades of Grey is 50 Shades Freed, I think. I don't know, God, I'm talking in circles. Anyways, that's why I got this book. I'm excited to read it. I'll read the back, just because. In Christian's own words, and through his thoughts, reflections, and dreams, E.L. James offers a fresh perspective on the love story that has enthralled millions of readers around the world. And it has. Christian Grey exercises control in all things. His world is neat, disciplined, and utterly empty until the day that Anastasia Steele falls into his office in a tangle of shapely limbs and tumbling brown hair. He tries to forget her, but instead is swept up in a storm of emotion he cannot comprehend and cannot resist. Unlike any woman he has known before, shy, unworldly Anna seems to see right through him, past the business prodigy and the penthouse lifestyle to Christian's cold, wounded heart. Will being with Anna dispel the horrors of his childhood that haunt Christian every night, or will his dark sexual desires, his compulsion to control, and the self-loathing that fills his soul drive this girl away and destroy the fragile hope she offers him? So, ooh, girl. So I'm excited to see this from his point of view. So that's the second book I got. I looked through all the romance and nothing else really caught my eye. So I started walking in the fiction literature areas, and I saw this, Room by Emma Donoghue. Now this book's been out for a while, like a few years. Originally published in 2010. Oh my god, I didn't realize it was that old. It was published in 2010. That's crazy. So Room by Emma Donoghue. This has been around for a while. I have not read this book. I saw the movie, and it was amazing. It was a great movie. I didn't even know it was a book until after I saw the movie. Like, I didn't even know it was a book. I've always had, I'm a real big true crime fan, and I've always had a real fascination with kidnappers and kidnapping. Like, Anytime I see documentaries on them or movies about them, especially if it was like a true story, I'm always about watching them because it's so messed up and crazy. I knew it wasn't based on a true story, but it was, you can tell it was like compiled and inspired by real stories that happened. Like you could just tell. And the movie was amazing. And so I've seen this book around. When I found out it was a book, I was like, oh my God, I gotta read it. But I needed a break from it because I was like, I don't know, I just needed a break. Sometimes it can be a really heavy subject. And as much as I love true crime, you know, I can only take so much at a time because it's heavy stuff. So when I saw this book, I was like, it's about time. I really want to read this. I know it's going to be different from the movie, which is great. It's fine. I know it's going to be, I hope it's going to be better. So yeah, let me just read the back of it if you haven't heard about it. So, okay. To 5-year-old Jack, room is the world. It's where he was born. It's where he and his ma eat and sleep and play and learn. At night, Ma shuts him safely in the wardrobe, where Jack is meant to be asleep when old Nick visits. Room is home to Jack, but to Ma, it's the prison where she has been held for 7 years. Through her fierce love for her son, she has created a life for him in this 11 by 11 foot space. But Jack's curiosity is building alongside Ma's own desperation, and she knows that Room cannot contain either much longer. Room is a tale at once shocking, riveting, exhilarating, a story of unconquerable love in harrowing circumstances, and of the diamond-hard bond between a mother and her child. Ooh, if you haven't seen the movie or if you haven't read the book, do at least one or the other. The movie was amazing. And you know what? I believe the movie got the actress that played the mother in this book. It got her first Academy Award. She won an Oscar for Best Actress for this movie. Like, that is how good the movie was. So I'm really excited to read the book. I know it's going to be heavy. Oh, and the other interesting thing is it's told through the little boy's voice. Like, it's told from him, from his perspective. And that's going to be weird. Like, let me tell you, the movie was just fascinating because it was just to see how a child sees the world or sees what he can see when he has grown up completely different than all of us. Like, he has not grown up in the outside world. He's grown up in a room. Like, that's all he knows. And so his vision of the world and the way he says things is so different. It's almost like talking to like an alien or a Martian or something like that. Like, but it's sad and crazy. It's just real psychological. It's what I'm really excited about. So I'm really excited to get into this. Room by Emma Donoghue. Oh my God, I'm like really excited about this book. It's called The Secret Life of Mac by Melinda Metz. So I love books that are, I mean, of course I love books about animals. Like I'm a huge animal lover, but I love books that are told from the perspective of animals. Like, that sounds like such a kid thing to love, but I do. I read like half of the book called The Art of Racing in the Rain, and it's from the point of view of a dog, and it's so cute. I don't know why I didn't finish it. I loved it. It was library books. I had to return it, and I never picked it back up. But I've read a few other books that were from a dog's point of view, and this is from a cat's point of view. It's so adorable. So I picked this up and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read it. So let me read you what it's about. So it says, inspired by the true story of a kleptomaniac cat who stole his way into America's heart. He's the cat thief of love. MacGyver, the tabby, is feeling very pleased with himself. His human, Jamie Snyder, has found the perfect packmate, and it's all thanks to Mac. By stealing personal items from the home of Jamie's handsome neighbor David, the matchmaking cat brought these two LA singles together. Now, while the newlyweds are off on their honeymoon, MacGyver is ready for a well-deserved cat nap. That is, until he meets his cat sitter, Bryony. Like most humans, she's hopeless when it comes to romance, and Mac can't resist a challenge. Oh my God, okay, let me keep reading, sorry. She's found the escape clause. That's so cute. Bryony feels terrible about leaving her fiance at the altar. When her cousin Jamie offers her the chance to cat sit MacGyver, the runaway bride leaps at the chance to cuddle up with the only male creature she trusts herself around. But MacGyver has other plans. He lures Bryony to a friendly neighborhood retirement community run by a charming young hottie named Nate. Bryony and Nate hit it off instantly, but Bryony's still not sure she's ready for a relationship, and Nate's got problems of his own. Someone is sabotaging his community. Crazy humans, why can't they follow their instincts and go after the love they deserve? MacGyver is on the case, and this time he's not pussyfooting around. How cute. So when I read this, I was like, this sounds adorable. Like, I'm all about it. I've never read a book from a cat's point of view, but I'm really into it. And then the way that, like, the beginning said, like, oh, you know, he's pleased with himself, his human has found her perfect pack mate, and I'm like, and it says, like, thanks to Mac, I'm like, is this not the first one? Like, is there one before this? So look in the inside. Okay, and first of all, look how cute he is. Like, look. Oh, he's so cute. So I went inside, and the first, look what it says. Look at that. Meow for more Melinda Metz. Talk to the paw. Oh my God, I'm like, there's a first one that's gonna tell me the story of how MacGyver's human got together. So I was like, I gotta find it. So anyways, I'm really excited about reading this one. But first, guess what I found? And I was really hoping I could find it. Talk to the Paw by Melinda Metz. So this is the first one. I was like, yes, because I wanted to read. I mean, how cute, and look at his face. God. And I wonder if they use the same cat, because they look very similar. I don't know. But look at how cute. Talk to the Paw by Melinda Metz. Okay, so let me read the back. I don't even think I read the back of this. I was just like, I'm getting it. Okay, inspired by the true story of a Portland, Oregon cat who stole from his neighbors and stole America's heart. Now, if I'm correct, this is the cat that was on, like, it was on the news and Animal Planet and stuff like that, where he would, like, sneak out at night and he would steal stuff from the neighbors. Like, every night he would come back with like bathing suit tops and bottoms and socks and pool toys and underwear and shoes and dog toys, like whatever he could find in the neighborhood, he would steal, and he would bring them back. And you know what his owners would do? They would hold, and when they got enough stuff, they would hold like a neighborhood garage sale, but it wasn't a garage sale. It was literally like, hey neighbors, come get your stuff, because our cat has stolen it. And it was just really, it's so cute. Like, see the clip. I'm gonna link the clip in the notes in the bottom so that you can go see it, because it's hilarious. It's adorable if you haven't seen it. Anyways, okay, so this is what the book says. She's putting her love life on pause. PAWS. Oh God. Okay, Jamie Snyder is 34 and single, but not ready to mingle. After suffering through the year of the non-committal man, the year of the self-absorbed man, and the year of the forgot to mention I'm married man, Jamie's ready to celebrate the year of me and MacGyver, of course. MacGyver is an adorable tabby with a not so adorable habit of sneaking out at night and stealing things from the neighbors. That's right, MacGyver is a cat burglar. He's still the only male Jamie trusts and the only companion she needs. But her cat has other ideas. MacGyver knows his human is lonely. He can smell it. It's the same smell he's noticed on their neighbor David, a handsome young baker who's tired of his friends trying to fix him up. But now MacGyver's on the case. First he steals something from David and stashes it at Jamie's. Then he steals something from Jamie and leaves it with David. Before long, the two are swapping stolen goods, trading dating horror stories, and trying not to fall in love. But they're not fooling MacGyver. When humans generate this much heat, the cat is out of the bag. All of the cat sayings, oh my God, it's so adorable. I think it's freaking adorable. I'm super excited to read it. And then after I read this one, I will read this one. I get way too excited about this. I was looking, I went from the fiction literature area to the area where it's like stuff's on clearance and like 20% off, whatever, like it's kind of like a cheaper area. And I found this book, which is a classic, Dracula by Bram Stoker. I have a degree in English literature, and I have an appreciation for the classics. They're not page turners like other books that I've read. I've read a fair amount of classics and more literature-based books, and I've always loved them. And Dracula is one I have wanted to read forever. You can basically get this an electronic version of Dracula for free anywhere, like anywhere. But I wanted the book, and I don't have this book yet. And I was like, you know what? I really want to read this. It's just such a pretty version. Look at that. Look at how pretty. Look at that. And it has a little thing, and you know, it's just, I don't know, it's beautiful. And I was just like, I really like this, and it's so beautiful. I can't wait to read it. So this year I definitely want to make more of an effort to read more classics. And so Dracula, I mean, the story of Dracula is just fascinating. I think it's fascinating that it was based off of Vlad Tepes, basically Vlad the Impaler, real person who, crazy. Oh, I need to read a book on him. I really like dark stuff, and I really cannot wait to read this. So I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but it's a beautiful copy. It's like so pretty. I love it. Okay, so that was what I got. I looked around a little bit more, and I couldn't really find anything else around that area. So I went to a section of Barnes & Noble that is probably one of my favorite. It's a total guilty pleasure, and it's the true crime section. I'm a true crime freak. Like I'm a total freak. I love really dark stuff. I love watching documentaries and gritty true crime shows, and just I love learning about it. The first book I picked up in that section is called Morgue: A Life in Death by Dr. Vincent DiMeo and Ron Franchel. I'm probably saying that wrong. But check it out. Look at that. Ooh, girl. Fascinating. This was an Edgar Award nominee for Best Fact Crime. So I picked it up, and it says, in this clear-eyed, gritty, and enthralling narrative, Dr. Vincent DiMeo and veteran crime writer Ron Franchel guide us behind the morgue doors to tell a fascinating life story through the cases that have made DiMeo famous. From the exhumation of assassin Lee Harvey Oswald to the complex issues in the shooting of Florida teenager Trayvon Martin. Beginning with his street-smart Italian origins in Brooklyn, the book spans 40 years of work and more than 9,000 autopsies, and DiMeo's eventual rise into the pantheon of forensic scientists. One of the country's most methodical and intuitive criminal pathologists will dissect himself, maintaining a nearly continuous flow of suspenseful stories, revealing anecdotes and enough macabre insider detail to rivet the most fervent crime fans. Me. So when I read that, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to read this. This sounds just so fascinating. I cannot wait to get into this. And it's just fascinating. The whole, like, the science behind, criminal pathology and forensics and all of that stuff is just so interesting. So I cannot wait to read this. I've never heard of this particular coroner. I just can't wait to read this. Like, oof. And it doesn't seem that long. Oh, and there's some pictures. Oh, of like him and his wife, I think. Aww. And there are some pictures of dead. Oh my god. There's a few pictures. Who doesn't love a picture book? And then the next one I got is Mindhunter: Inside the FBI's Elite Serial Crime Unit by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. I can't wait to read this. This is, and it says, now a Netflix original series. If you have never heard of Mindhunter, go on Netflix and watch it. They only have one season right now, but it's like 10 episodes or something like that. It's a super good show. Like, I think I watched all 10 episodes in like a weekend. So good. And the show is not a true story, but it's based on a true story. And this book is actually like the true story. So I'll read it to you. So it says, during his 25-year career with the Investigative Support Unit, Special Agent John Douglas became a legendary figure in law enforcement, pursuing some of the most notorious and sadistic serial killers of our time. The man who hunted prostitutes for sport in the woods of Alaska, the Atlanta child murderer, and Seattle's Green River killer, the case that nearly cost Douglas his life. As the model for Jack Crawford in The Silence of the Lambs, Douglas has confronted, interviewed, and studied scores of serial killers and assassins, including Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, and Ed Gein, who dressed himself in his victims' peeled skin. Yeah. Using his uncanny ability to become both predator and prey, Douglas examines each crime scene, reliving both the killer's and the victim's actions in his mind, creating their profiles, describing their habits, and predicting their next moves. Now, in chilling detail and featuring a new introduction, Mindhunter takes readers behind the scenes of some of John Douglas's most gruesome, fascinating, and challenging cases, and into the darkest recesses of our worst nightmares. Ugh. So yeah, so this isn't exactly like the show. The show is like loosely based on this book, but this book was written first. Like it wasn't written after the show was made. So I want to say I started reading this on my phone, like an ebook. He's written a few books, I think. I've read most of one of his books, unless it was this one. It probably wasn't this one. I have read a lot of one of his other books. So I'm super excited to read this, and it's a good chunky book, and I'm just I think this one has pictures too. Yes, it does. Aw, pictures of him throughout his life and his, him going through being with the Bureau, and I think there was a couple serial killer pictures of some serial killers. So yeah, I'm excited. Last book I got was this one, again in the true crime section. The Invention of Murder, How the Victorians Reveled in Death and Detection and Created Modern Crime by Judith Flanders. It would be a crime not to read this book. Anyways, look at that. It's nice and thick and beautiful. So yeah, I heard about this book. I can't remember how I heard about it, but I've known about it for a while. This sounded so fascinating to me. Okay, so it says, murder in the 19th century was rare, but murder as sensation and entertainment became ubiquitous. I don't know how to say that. Transformed into novels, into broadsides and ballads, into theater and melodrama and opera, even into puppet shows and performing dog acts. Detective fiction and the new police force developed in parallel, each imitating the other. The pioneers of Scotland Yard gave rise to Dickens' Inspector Bucket, the first fictional police detective who in turn influenced Sherlock Holmes, and ultimately even P.D. James and Patricia Cornwell. In this fascinating book, Judith Flanders retells the gruesome stories of many different types of murder, both famous and obscure. From the crimes and myths of Sweeney Todd and Jack the Ripper, to the tragedies of the murdered Marr family in London's East End, Burke and Hare and their body-snatching business in Edinburgh, and Greenacre, who transported his dismembered fiancée around town by omnibus. With an irresistible cast of swindlers, forgers, and poisoners, the mad, the bad, and the dangerous to know, The Invention of Murder is both a gripping tale of crime and punishment and history at its most readable. So, this is just fascinating. It's kind of like, it's nonfiction. Yeah, it's nonfiction. It's about how murder became almost sensationalized. Like, it's really famous. Like, go to the ID Investigation channel. Everyone is a true crime fan. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are true crime fans. So, and I'm one of them. And I don't know what it is. Like, why are we obsessed with murder? Like, why, and they're saying like, oh, it all started here. Like how the Victorians reveled in death and detection and detective novels, and just, so there's a lot of history. There's a lot of truth to it. And like it explains how like reality inspired fiction and vice versa. It's fascinating. So yeah, so I had to get this book. I'm super excited to read it. I don't know what I'm gonna read first. Honestly, I'm probably gonna read the cat books first because it just sounds adorable. So yeah, that's my haul. I ended up getting 1, 2, 10 books. One of them is a journal. So 9 books and a journal. I'm happy. Like, I'm not even upset that I spent all that money. I'm just not. I'm happy. So look at all these books. Look at them. They're so pretty. You know what? This was a while in the making. I haven't bought books in a year. So honestly, this is like what I probably would have bought in a year. Actually, I probably would have bought more. But yep, so that is my book haul. And yeah, so I will probably do individual videos of the books that I read and what I like about them and if there's anything I don't like about them and blah blah blah. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what books you're reading or your recent book hauls or just whatever. Like, we can talk about books. Like, I can talk about books forever. It was really good to talk to you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.